All right, so I made a last video on how to avoid bad crotch on Ankara fabric, and I got a lot of messages, and people were kind of surprised that crotch is not constant. Now, I want to clear something to us that you have a formula or that you know a crotch that fits each client on a particular outfit does not guarantee that this crotch will work for every fabric, because what you consider is not only the client on the crotch calculation. You consider the fabric you are using, you consider the person's nature, you consider the style. So three things are the important things you consider in taking your crotch measurements. Likewise, your armhole, right? So now I want to let you know that just like when you are cutting with a stretchy fabric, there are also things you consider. So this video is going to explain in detail what to consider and what type of fabric we're always going to consider these things for. Now, if you're working with a regular plain material, like no stretching, not Ankara, regular plain, let's say cashmere, right? Let's say cashmere and the likes of it. Let's say cashmere and the likes of it that does not stretch, neither does it, have any, peculiarity, just a regular plain fabric like this, something of this nature, right? Something of this nature, these plain fabrics this way. So if you are working with these plain fabrics for a plain trouser, you are going to use the formulas you know on how to get the crotch, which is hips over 4. This is one of the methods to get a crotch, don't forget. Or you measure the person's crotch by measurement, or the person will sit on a chair, you take the upright sitting position, or you divide the person's length of trouser by 4. So whichever method that you didn't fit among all of these 4 methods I mentioned, and also other methods that you might know, will be used to get a crotch for a client that's working for a plain fabric that does not need that the fabric does not stretch or do anything funny, right? Fine. Now, and bear in mind that this must be for fitted measurement. So for fitted measurements, you use the regular formula for the hips over 4 to give you the crotch. That for fitted trousers. Fitted trousers, right? Fitted trousers. Now, these fitted trousers could be senator wears, corporate trousers for office outfits, or personal fitted trouser. You use the formula of hips over 4 to get your crotch. That's if you're using this method, right? Now, for example, we have a client of hips of 48, for example, right? And then I'm saying that the formula you use in getting the crotch of this hip will be hips over 4, which is 12. That means the person's crotch will be 12, right? Now, this 12 will work for fitted trousers. Now, if you are not making other type of outfits for this same person, you must not use the same 12 in making it. Let me start from stretchy fabric. Now, for stretchy fabrics, you understand that it tends to stretch when you open your legs or when you walk, it tends to stretch. So such fabrics, you might not use 12. You might decide to reduce half an inch from the 12 in order to achieve a more fitted nature of the outfit. Right? Now, that means for stretchy fabrics, you are going to minus half an inch from any answer you use in your crotch calculations from the regular fitted trousers you make for a certain customer. Then, when you are making a free or baggy trouser, like this regular male two-piece that is not fitted, that is a bit baggy, you are not going to use 12 for the crotch. You are going to use +1 or +2. Depends on how big the person is or how big the trouser is. So if the trouser is a bit moderately big, you use extra 1 for the crotch. If it's baggy like baggy, you use 2 inches extra for the crotch. to give you that room or that freedom on the crotch region to achieve the baggy effects on your trouser, right? Then if you're making Ankara for this person, you also not use 12, you're going to use extra 1 or 2 inches as well for the crotch. It still depends on the person's choice and form and measurements. So the truth here is, don't stick around a particular crotch value for all your clients' nature of outfits. Always consider the person's freeness on that particular outfit. And also note that if you're also making a cloth that the customer tends to wear for a longer duration, for like, let's say, a year, 2 years, or thereabouts, you should also consider future increments in size or body size. So you don't make it to be like something that he cannot wear after 3 or 4 months when he adds, because it's paramount that most people do add, within a short period of time, right? So these things I'm telling you now are one of the secrets that most top fashion brands do, and they might not have time to teach you or let you know. And once you get a crotch of a client, you keep on holding on to it. It's good to hold on to it, but make sure you consider the nature of outfit you are making in order to make adjustments that will, give you a better result on that particular outfit, right? So the same thing applicable to the armhole. If you're making a fabric that is stretchy on the armhole, you consider the person's armhole depth as well. If you're making for Ankara as well, you also consider. Obviously, Ankara art fabrics are meant to be free on the body. They are not meant to be clingy to the body or fit too much fitted to the body because of the nature of the fabric, that is not a total pure cotton, right? But total pure cotton like this can give you a more fitted outfit, and it will last longer because doesn't really get easily torn. But Ankara, any slightest pressure or tension on a certain region, it tends to tear either from the threading or from the fabric itself. So when you have known or mastered these little adjustments you make, you can now be more conversant and versatile with your job that you are making. Now, to conclude this, I also want to let you know that there are some things you should also note or bear in mind. In every good measurement, if you divide your hips by 4, it must be equal to or a bit greater than the lap measurement divided by 2. Because in my last video, people were asking me, why didn't I use the lap and the knee in cutting? I now said that the nature, I have like 3 or 4 patterns in cutting or drafting trousers, right? I have the simple line method, I have the Ankara line method, and I have the plumb line or the gradient line method, or what I call the best fit method. The reason I gave it to the best fit name is because it fits perfectly for everybody. Once you use a good measurement to draft it, it must fit perfectly. So now, coming to the area of lap and hip correlation. Now, when you have a good hip measurement, if you divide it by 4 and add extra 2 inches, which we normally add after hip division plus 2, I'm trying to tell you that the answer you will get must be equal to or slightly bigger than the lap of the person divided by 2. Bear in mind, the lap does not need any addition when you are drafting your trouser. It just needs you to divide it and confirm the value. So, for example, here, if this person's hips is 48, do you get? Now, divide by 4 is 12, then plus 2 is 14, right? Now, this simply means that this person, his lap cannot be more than 28. That means 14 times 2 now, 28. That's for the laps. You get? So this will also give you a clue on how to get a good crotch and good lap measurement as well. So what happens when the lap is, let's say, 30? Let's say lap is 30, for example, and you are having 48 hip and this is 28. Now, in this scenario, if you are very certain and sure that your lap value is correct, now I will advise you to increase the hip to 50 and leave the lap at 30, so that you don't have a tight laps and a tight hip value. So you are the possibility of making a mistake in taking the hip is more than possibility of taking the lap measurement in error. So there's every tendency that you might have made a mistake on the hip value than the lap value, because the lap is a bit easier to measure than the hip circumference, right? So in such cases, I will advise you to increase the hip and leave the lap at the value of 30. So that is why most tailors do take only lap measurement. They don't consider taking the hip measurement, because from the lap they will get the hip, right? From the formula I gave you now, divide your lap by 2, it is the value of your hips over 4 plus extra 2 inches on a very standard measurement, except when you have some irregular body shapes or sizes that can alter this correlation or this hypothesis, right? So now, the reason I'm taking my time to explain this to you, so that you will not get confused, because in that Ankara I cut earlier, the video before this, I did not use the lap nor the knee. I just marked the waist, the hip, the ankle, and they're connected. So once your hip is correct and you connect to the ankle, your lap and your knee must tally. Do you get? Fine. So I believe this video must have given you a deep insight on the details of trouser cutting, drafting, and everything. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and share. Invite your friends to join us on this channel to learn more on male fashion designing. My name remains Mr. Redefined. Thank you for joining us. Bye-bye for now.